My name is Lisa Lopez, and I'm holding a restaurant bill for $4,800. The paper feels heavy in my hands, heavier than it should. But it's not the weight of expensive meals or imported wine that makes my fingers shake. It's the weight of 38 years of being invisible in my own family. If this story hits home, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Every betrayal I share comes with a twist you won't see coming. Sevens. $4,800. Let that sink in. That's more than my grandmother made in 3 months of cleaning houses. That's more than I spent on food my entire first year in business. That's the price tag my family put on their contempt, thinking I'd pay it with a smile. They were wrong. Let me back up. 3 hours ago, I walked into the Meridian, one of those restaurants where the chandeliers cost more than my first car and the ocean view comes with a price tag that could feed a family for a month. The kind of place where waiters glide instead of walk, where silence is golden and money is invisible because everyone has so much of it. The kind of place I would never choose, which should have been my first warning sign. I was wearing my black cocktail dress, the one I bought after landing my biggest client. Professional, polished. The kind of armor you wear when you know you're walking into battle disguised as dinner. I'd paired it with my grandmother's pearl earrings, the only thing of value she owned, left to me in a shoebox with a note that said, "Wear these when you need to remember who you are." I needed to remember tonight. My mother had called me 5 days earlier. "Lisa, kochana," she said, using the Polish endearment my grandmother used to whisper. "We need to have a family dinner. It's important we're all together." Something in her voice felt wrong, like she was reading from a script someone else had written, like she'd practiced the words but couldn't quite sell the emotion behind them. I'd heard that tone before, when she told me Dad's medical bills were covered by insurance. They weren't. When she said they couldn't help with my college tuition because money was tight. It wasn't. They just spent it on Marcus. When she promised we'd celebrate my business launch. Soon. We never did. But I said yes. Because despite everything, despite being the forgotten daughter, the overlooked sister, the family member who only mattered when bills needed paying, some stupid, hopeful part of me still wanted to believe they saw me as more than a checkbook and heels. I should have known better. Hope is expensive when you're dealing with people who've shown you exactly who they are. Have you ever been invited somewhere just to be used? Drop a comment below, because I'm about to tell you how I turned their biggest mistake into my sweetest victory. I grew up in a small house in Newark with peeling wallpaper and a bathroom shared by 5 people. My grandmother Babcia, my father's mother who came from Poland with nothing but a worn suitcase and iron determination, taught me how to make pierogi from scratch. That was our fancy dinner. Dough, potatoes, onions, and love. Real love, the kind that doesn't come with conditions. Now I run Lopez Tech Consulting. 7-figure revenue. 23 employees. Clients across 3 states. I built it from nothing, just like Babcia built her life in America. But to my family, I'm still just Lisa. Practical Lisa. Boring Lisa. Lisa who doesn't need attention because she's so independent. Let me introduce you to the stars of tonight's performance. My brother Marcus, 35, the golden child who could do no wrong even when he was doing everything wrong. His wife Vanessa, Instagram's definition of that deemed blessed, with her designer bags and curated life that looked perfect in filtered photos. My mother, Elena, who learned from her European upbringing that sons are investments and daughters are, well, backup plans. As I walked through that restaurant, past tables of people celebrating anniversaries and promotions, I spotted them. They looked like a magazine ad for success. Marcus in his tailored suit, Rolex catching the light. Vanessa dripping in jewelry I knew cost more than my employees' monthly salaries. My mother elegant in emerald silk. And there it was, the empty chair, slightly pushed away from the table, like an afterthought. Like someone had sat there and left. That was my spot. Always on the outside, even when I was invited in. This table's for family, Marcus said as I approached, loud enough for nearby diners to hear. Then he laughed. I'm kidding, Lisa. Sit down. But here's what they didn't know. They had no idea what I'd discovered 3 weeks ago. They didn't know about the documents my lawyer had sent me. They didn't know that Babsia, my beautiful, fierce grandmother who died 2 years ago, had left me something that changed everything. And they definitely didn't know that I'd come to this dinner prepared for war. So glad you could make it, my mother said, her smile tight. I sat down, smoothing my dress. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Because what was coming next? They were about to learn that using people has consequences, that taking advantage of family has a price, and that bill, that beautiful, catastrophic $4, $800 bill, was about to become the most expensive lesson they'd ever receive. But they had no idea what was coming next. To understand tonight, you need to know how we got here. This didn't start with a dinner bill. It started 30 years ago, when my mother first held Marcus and looked at him like he'd hung the moon. I was 3 when he was born. There's a photo somewhere, me holding him, my face scrunched up in concentration, trying so hard to be a good big sister. My mother's hand is on Marcus's head. She's not looking at me at all. That became the pattern. When I was 12, I won a full academic scholarship to a private school. You know what my father said? That's wonderful, Lisa, but don't brag about it. It makes Marcus feel bad. Marcus was 9 and struggling with basic math. Apparently, my achievement was the problem, not his lack of effort. I remember standing in the kitchen, holding the acceptance letter like it was made of gold. I'd worked so hard for it, stayed up late studying, volunteered for extra credit, tutored other kids to prove I was leadership material. I thought they'd be proud. I thought maybe, finally, they'd see me. Instead, my father folded the letter and put it in a drawer. We'll discuss this later, he said. Right now, your brother needs help with his homework. Later never came. I learned to make myself smaller so he could feel bigger. I learned to whisper my victories and shout my brother's participation trophies. I learned that in this family, love was a zero-sum game, and I was always on the losing side. At 19, I started my first business from Babsia's garage, refurbishing old computers and selling them to schools. I was so proud. I showed my father the books, the profit margins, the growth projections. He patted my shoulder and said, "That's a nice hobby, sweetie. When are you going to get a real job?" 6 months later, Marcus dropped out of college for the 3rd time, and my parents remortgaged the house to send him to a prestigious MBA program in Boston. I asked if they could help with my community college tuition, just $2,000. My mother said, "Marcus handles the money matters in this family. Kochana, we can't spare it right now." I worked 3 jobs that semester. I ate rice and beans for 90 days straight. I wore the same 2 pairs of jeans until the knees gave out. And I paid every cent of that tuition myself. Want to know the worst part? I was still desperate for their approval. I still showed up to family dinners, hoping this time they'd ask about my life. This time they'd see me. They never did. When I was 25, my father had a heart attack. The medical bills were crushing, $40,000 after insurance. Marcus said he was between opportunities and couldn't help. I emptied my savings account. All of it. The money I'd been saving for my own apartment, my own life, my own future. My father recovered. At his welcome home dinner, he thanked Marcus for holding down the fort while he was sick. He didn't mention me once, but Babsha did. She pulled me aside in the kitchen, her weathered hands holding mine. "Kochana," she whispered in her thick accent, "you have fire in your eyes. Don't let them put it out." She was the only one who saw me, really saw me. Babsia had come to America in 1962 with nothing. She cleaned houses for 40 years, saved every penny she could hide from my grandfather's drinking habit, and built a life from sheer will and stubborn hope. She taught me Polish prayers and American practicality. She taught me that family is not who uses you, it's who builds with you. I remember sitting in her tiny kitchen, the smell of pierogi filling the air, while she told me stories of the old country. In Poland, we had a saying. She'd say, rolling dough with hands that had scrubbed 1,000 toilets. "Nie mój cirque, nie moje małpy, not my circus, not my monkeys." It means, not your problem to fix what others break. But their family, Babcia, I'd said once, maybe 15 years old, crying over some forgotten slight. She'd stopped rolling dough and looked at me with eyes that had seen wars and oceans and heartbreak. Family is not what you are born into, Kochana. It is what you build. And you cannot build with people who only know how to take. I didn't understand then. I understand now. When she got sick, I visited her every day. Marcus came twice, once for her birthday, once to ask if she had any savings he could invest for her. The night before she died, Babcia pressed an envelope into my hands. "Open this when you're ready to fly, not fall," she said. "And remember, wolves dress in sheep's clothing, but sheep don't have to stay in the flock." I didn't understand then. I do now. Fast forward to 3 months ago. I'm in my office, looking at my company's best quarter yet. My phone rings. It's my mother. "Lisa, I need to talk to you about something important." My heart jumped. Maybe she wanted to celebrate with me. Maybe she'd heard about the European expansion deal. Maybe. Sevens. "Marcus is going through a transition. He needs our support." Our support, meaning my money. "What kind of transition?" I asked carefully. "He's between positions. The market has been difficult. You know how it is." I did know. I knew because I'd built a business during a recession. I knew because I'd faced rejection and failure and bankruptcy scares, and I'd survived by working harder than everyone else. "How can I help?" I asked, hating myself for asking. "We're planning a family dinner. We can discuss it then. Somewhere nice." Marcus insists on treating everyone. That should have been my first clue. I hired a private investigator the next day. Not because I'm paranoid. Because I'm smart. And because 2 weeks earlier, I'd gotten a notification that someone had tried to open a credit card in my name using my business address. What my investigator found made my blood run cold. Marcus hadn't just lost his job. He'd been fired from the hedge fund for questionable trading practices. He'd taken out personal loans using my company's name as a reference. Fraud, pure and simple. He'd racked up $200,000 in debt, and Vanessa had no idea because she was too busy buying handbags to notice they were living on credit vapor. And my mother knew. She'd co-signed one of his loans. They were drowning, and they wanted me to be their life raft. Again. I could have confronted them immediately, filed charges, protected myself legally. But I remembered Babcia's words. Sometimes you must let people show you who they are. So I waited. I documented everything. I had my lawyer prepare the papers. And when my mother called with that dinner invitation, I knew exactly what it was. A trap. An ambush. A last-ditch attempt to guilt me into saving Marcus from the consequences of his own choices. I accepted the invitation because I needed them to ask. I needed to hear them say it out loud. I needed proof that I wasn't the crazy one for feeling used all these years. The day before the dinner, I went to my lawyer's office. She handed me a folder. "Lisa, you need to see this." Inside were documents from Babcia's estate. Documents I'd never seen before because the trust had a time lock. I couldn't access them until I turned 35. I'd turned 35 last month. Babcia had left me something. Not just the seed money I'd used to start my business. Something bigger. Something that changed everything. 50% ownership of the family home. The house my mother still lived in. The house Marcus thought he'd inherit. The house that was worth $600,000 in today's market. Babcia had split it between me and my mother, but the terms were specific. I could only claim it if I chose to. If I wanted to walk away from the family, I could sign it over to my mother and Marcus. If I wanted justice, I could force a sale. My mother knew about this. She'd known for 2 years, since Babsia died. She'd never told me. She'd never told Marcus either, because Babsia's will specifically said, "Tell Lisa when she's strong enough to choose her own path, not when the family needs her to choose theirs." My lawyer looked at me. "What do you want to do?" I smiled. For the first time in 38 years, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not revenge, just clarity. "I want to go to dinner," I said. "And I want to see what they do when they think I don't know." So I went. I put on my black dress and my good heels. I drove to the Meridian. I walked through those doors knowing exactly what my family saw when they looked at me. A piggy bank, a safety net, a woman too kind to say no. They had no idea I'd become someone who'd learned to say no in 17 languages. They had no idea that this dinner was about to cost them everything. The Meridian's menu didn't have prices. That's how you know it's expensive. When money is so assumed, it becomes invisible. When wealth is so expected that discussing cost would be gauche, pedestrian, beneath you. I'd been to places like this before. Business dinners with clients who needed impressing. Award ceremonies where success was measured in square footage and stock options. But I'd never been here with my family, and now I knew why. We didn't belong here. Not really. We were performers in borrowed costumes, playing roles we couldn't afford. Marcus ordered first, his voice carrying that false confidence of someone pretending everything is fine. Dom Perignon, the 2008. And we'll start with the Oyster Tower. The waiter nodded, his face professionally blank. I did quick math in my head. 800 for the champagne, 200 for oysters. We hadn't even started. I watched Marcus lean back in his chair, one arm draped casually over the back like he owned the place. His Rolex caught the light, the same Rolex he'd posted on Instagram 3 weeks ago with the caption, "Hard work pays off." I'd seen the post and wondered how hard work paid for a $20,000 watch when you'd just been fired. Now I knew. It didn't. Credit did. Lies did. The appearance of success when the reality was crumbling. Vanessa went next. I'll have the truffle risotto with the caviar supplement. And keep the champagne coming. She smiled at the waiter like she was doing him a favor by ordering. My mother ordered filet mignon. Uncle Stefan, who'd appeared like he'd been summoned, ordered the Wagyu ribeye. Aunt Magda wanted king crab and another bottle of wine, something French she couldn't pronounce but insisted on anyway. When it was my turn, I ordered a simple chicken dish and water. Marcus actually laughed. "Come on, Lisa. Don't be cheap. It's a celebration. Order something good. It's on me." On him. Right. I upgraded to salmon. Not because I wanted it, but because I wanted to see how far this performance would go. "That's more like it," he said, raising his champagne flute. To family. Everyone drank. I sipped water and watched. The conversation flowed like the wine, expensive and empty. Vanessa talked about her Instagram followers hitting 50,000. Marcus complained about the stock market like he still had stocks to worry about. My mother nodded along, playing the proud matriarch, her emerald earrings catching the candlelight. No one asked about my company. No one asked about my life. I was scenery. Then Marcus pivoted. "So, Mom was telling me about your European expansion." Finally. "Yes, we just signed." "Sevens." "That's incredible," he interrupted. "You know, it really makes you think about what's important. Family, supporting family, right?" There it was. The setup. My mother put down her fork. "Lisa, there's something we need to discuss." I waited. "Marcus is going through a transition period," she began, using the exact same words from her phone call. The financial sector has been challenging, and he's reassessing his opportunities. I got fired, Marcus said suddenly, like ripping off a bandage. 4 months ago, the hedge fund collapsed. It wasn't my fault, but I took the fall. Vanessa's hand found his. We're figuring things out. Uncle Stefan leaned in. These things happen in families, Lisa. The strong help the weak. I almost laughed. The strong help the weak. Like I hadn't been carrying this family on my back for 15 years. What do you need? I asked, my voice neutral. Marcus exhaled. 50,000. Just to get back on my feet. I've got opportunities lined up. I just need capital to... Sevens. $50,000. I repeated. It's a loan, Vanessa added quickly. We'll pay you back. With interest. I looked at my mother. She was folding her napkin, unfolding it, folding it again. The same nervous habit she'd had my whole life. Mom, did you know about this before tonight? She looked up, surprised by the direct question. We thought we'd all discuss it together. That's not what I asked. Silence settled over the table like fog. I set down my fork. Let me ask you all something. When was the last time I was invited to a family event that wasn't about money? More silence. Marcus, when was your last birthday party? He shifted uncomfortably. June. Was I invited? A pause. Then. You were traveling for work. No, I wasn't. I was home. I saw the photos on Facebook. 37 pictures. You, Vanessa, Mom, Uncle Stefan, Aunt Magda, cousins I haven't spoken to in years. Everyone was there. The cake had 35 candles. You made a speech about family being everything. I watched it on stories while I sat in my apartment 12 miles away. My mother's face crumpled. Kachana, you're always working. We didn't want to bother... Sevens. You didn't want to bother inviting me to a party, but you'll bother me for $50,000. The words came out calm, cold. Years of practice keeping my voice steady when I wanted to scream. You'll bother me when Dad needed surgery. You'll bother me when Marcus's rent is due. You'll bother me when Vanessa wants a new car. But my birthday? My business launch? My award from the State Commerce Department? Those don't warrant a phone call? Silence settled over the table like a heavy blanket. Other diners were definitely watching now. A woman at the next table had her phone out, probably recording. Let the whole restaurant see. Marcus's face reddened. After everything we've done for you, Sevens? Name one thing, I interrupted. Name one thing this family has done for me in the last 20 years. One thing that didn't benefit you more than it benefited me. One sacrifice you made for my happiness instead of your convenience. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out but air and excuses he couldn't quite form. I paid for Dad's medical bills. I co-signed for your first apartment. Marcus, I bought Mom's car when hers died. I've written checks, given loans that were never repaid, and covered emergencies that somehow only I could afford to fix. Uncle Stefan cleared his throat. Family is about sacrifice. Sevens. You're right, I said. It is. So why am I the only one sacrificing? The table fell silent. Other diners glanced over, then quickly away. The waiter hovered nearby, uncertain whether to approach. We're family, Vanessa hissed. That's what matters. That's what you're supposed to do. I looked at her, really looked at her. She was wearing a Cartier bracelet I'd seen her post about 2 weeks ago. Blessed grateful. While asking me for money? Then this family, I said slowly, can practice paying their own bills. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. A wine glass wobbled. You're being selfish. We need help. And you're sitting there on your high horse because you got lucky. Sevens. Lucky? The word came out sharp. I worked 80-hour weeks. I ate instant noodles for a year straight. I slept in my car between client meetings because I couldn't afford gas and a hotel. I built my company with my own hands while you were drinking champagne at company mixers. That's not fair. Sevens. You want to talk about fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. I pulled out my phone, opened a folder, and turned it around so they could see. These are credit applications. In my name. Using my business as a reference. Want to guess who filed them? Marcus's face went white. That's identity theft, I continued. That's fraud. That's prison time. My mother gasped. Lisa, you can't be serious. I'm dead serious. I pulled out a folder from my purse and slid it across the table. That's all the documentation. Every application, every loan, every forged signature. Uncle Stefan stood up. I think we should go. Magda? Sit down, I said, and something in my voice made him pause. You all came here for a show. Let's finish it. I turned to Marcus. You want $50,000? You owe me $87,000 from loans you never repaid. You want family support? You've ignored me for 3 years unless you needed money. You want help? I stood up. Then help yourself. The waiter chose that moment to approach, black leather folder in hand. He set it down in the center of the table. Whenever you're ready, he said politely, and walked away. No one moved. Marcus reached for it slowly, like it might bite. He opened it. His face went from white to gray. $4,800, he whispered. Vanessa leaned over. That can't be right. But it was. Dom Perignon at $800 a bottle. 3 bottles. Caviar supplements. Wagyu beef. King crab. The wine Uncle Stefan kept ordering. The dessert Aunt Magda insisted everyone try. $4,800. Marcus pulled out his credit card with shaking hands. The waiter returned, ran it through the machine. Declined. He tried another card. Declined. A third. Declined. Vanessa was frantically checking her phone, her face growing paler with each swipe. I don't understand, Marcus muttered. The limit should be, sevens. The limit should be 0, I said quietly. Because you're broke. Because you've been living on credit for 6 months. Because you spent money you didn't have on a lifestyle you couldn't afford. My mother reached across the table. Lisa, please. Just this once. We'll figure out how to pay you back. Sevens. Like you figured it out the last 10 times. Her hand fell. I reached into my purse and pulled out 2 $20 bills. I set them on the table. That's for my salmon and water. $40. The rest. I looked at Marcus. The rest is your celebration. Your treat. Your responsibility. I stood up, straightening my dress. Adults deal with their consequences, I said. Welcome to adulthood, Marcus. I started to walk away. Lisa. My mother's voice cracked. Please don't leave. Don't do this. I turned back. I'm not doing anything, Mom. I'm just not fixing what I didn't break. Marcus was on his phone now, desperately calling someone. Vanessa had removed her tennis bracelet and was holding it like a poker chip. Uncle Stefan was calculating on his napkin. The manager appeared, his professional smile strained. Is everything all right? They're figuring out payment, I said. It might take a while. I made it to the door before my mother caught up with me. She grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. You can't just leave us like this. I looked at her hand on my arm. Like what? Like you left me out of family dinners? Like you left me out of decisions? Like you left me to figure out life on my own while pouring everything into Marcus? Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. She never cried in public. Image was everything. It's not about the money, I said, softer now. It's about respect. It's about being seen. It's about being loved for who I am, not what I can provide. I pulled a business card from my purse and pressed it into her palm. Call me tomorrow. Just you. But there will be new rules. Respect, honesty, and no financial favors. If you can't agree to that, then this is goodbye. I walked away, leaving her standing in the doorway, my business card crumpled in her fist. Outside, the valet brought my car. I tipped him $20, more than my entire meal cost. As I pulled away, I could see through the restaurant windows. Marcus was talking to the manager, his hands gesturing wildly. Vanessa was crying. My mother had returned to the table, her shoulders slumped. And I felt nothing. No guilt. No regret. Just freedom. For the first time in 38 years, I'd chosen myself, and it felt like finally coming home. I made it halfway to my car when I heard Marcus's voice behind me. You can't do this. You're not even real family. I stopped. Slowly, I turned around. He was standing in the restaurant doorway, his face red, his expensive suit rumpled. You think you're better than us? You think your little tech company makes you something special? Marcus, stop. My mother tried to pull him back inside. He shook her off. No, she needs to hear this. She's not even a real Lopez. She's adopted. The valet froze. A couple getting out of a Tesla stopped mid-step. I felt myself go very still. What did you just say? Oh, did you think we didn't know? He laughed, bitter and sharp. Dad told me before he died. You're not blood. You're just some charity case Babsia forced on them. My mother's face crumpled. Marcus, please. Sevens, is that true? I asked her, my voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't meet my eyes. Lisa, it's complicated. Sevens, is it true? Yes, she whispered. But we loved you. But you loved Marcus more. The pieces fell into place. Every overlooked achievement. Every dismissed dream. Every time they chose him over me. Because he was real family. Marcus crossed his arms, triumphant. So you see, you don't get to play the victim here. Everything you got because we were generous enough to Sevens. Shut up. Something in my voice made him stop. I walked back toward them slowly, deliberately. I pulled out my phone and opened the email my lawyer had sent me. The one I'd been saving for the right moment. You want to talk about real family? I held up the screen. Let's talk about real family. My mother's face went white as she recognized the document. This, I said, loud enough for the gathering crowd to hear, is Babsha's will. The real one. The complete one. The one Mom never told you about. Marcus. I turned the screen so he could see it. Babsha left me 50% ownership of the family home. The house you thought you'd inherit. The house Mom lives in. $600,000 in today's market. $300,000 is mine, legally, anytime I choose to claim it. Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. But here's the beautiful part, I continued, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through me. The will specifies that I can only claim it if I choose to. Babsia wrote a letter explaining why. She said, and I quote, Lisa is not my blood granddaughter, but she is my heart granddaughter. She is the only one who inherited my strength, my fire, My refusal to be small for men who need me weak. I leave her this choice because she deserves to choose her own family, not be trapped by the family she was given. Let her decide if they deserve her, not the other way around. I looked at my mother, watching the color drain from her face. You knew. You've known for 2 years, since the day we buried her. I was going to tell you. Her voice broke. When? When you needed me to sign it away? I showed her another email, watching her read the subject line. Family meeting agenda, estate planning discussion. This was tonight's real plan, wasn't it? The important family discussion. You were going to ask me to refuse the inheritance so Marcus could have the whole house. You were going to use family loyalty and guilt to make me give up what Babsia chose to give me. The waiter had backed away. Other diners weren't even pretending not to stare anymore. Someone's phone was definitely recording. Good. Let them watch. Let the whole world see what happens when you finally stop being small. Silence. But I didn't know, Marcus said, his voice small now. I didn't know about any of this. No, I agreed. You didn't, because Mom was protecting you. Again. Always. I pulled out the folder of documents from my purse, the ones I'd shown at dinner, plus new ones. Here's what else you didn't know. Marcus. Those credit cards you tried to open in my name? Identity theft. That's 3 to 5 years in prison. The loans you took using my business as reference without permission. Fraud. That's another 5 years. The forged signatures on loan applications. Federal crime. His face had gone from red to white to gray. I have everything documented. Every application, every signature, every lie. My lawyer has copies. So does the FBI. Vanessa appeared in the doorway. The FBI? Financial fraud over $100,000 is a federal offense, I said calmly. Marcus hit that threshold 4 months ago. My mother swayed. Uncle Stefan caught her arm. But here's my offer, I said. One time only. You have 3 options. I held up one finger. Option 1. I file charges. Marcus goes to prison. Mom loses the house because she co-signed the fraudulent loans. Vanessa's influencer career ends when the truth comes out. 2 fingers. Option 2. I claim my 50% of the house and force an immediate sale. You'd need to buy me out for $300,000, which you don't have. So the house sells, and Mom has to find somewhere else to live. 3 fingers. Option 3. You pay your own bill tonight. No more loans from me, ever. Marcus gets a real job and pays back what he owes over time, with a payment plan in writing. Mom learns to treat me like a daughter, not a bank account. And we try to be a real family. I lowered my hand. You have 60 seconds to decide. After that, I call my lawyer and file the paperwork. The manager appeared, nervous. Excuse me, we really do need to settle. Sevens. They're deciding, I said. Marcus looked at Vanessa. Vanessa looked at my mother. My mother looked at me. I don't understand, she whispered. If you knew all this, why come tonight? Why let it get this far? Because I needed you to show me who you really are, I said. Babsia told me, wolves dress in sheep's clothing, but sheep don't have to stay in the flock. I needed to know if you were wolves or if there was still family worth saving. And? My mother asked. I looked at Marcus, broken, desperate, finally understanding consequences. I looked at my mother, ashamed, but maybe, finally, aware of what she'd done. That depends on what you choose in the next 30 seconds. Marcus pulled out his phone, made a call. Dad, he said, his father-in-law. I realized, I need help. It's an emergency. Vanessa started removing her jewelry, her earrings, her necklace, the tennis bracelet. My mother opened her purse and pulled out a checkbook. "I have some savings," she whispered. It took them 20 minutes to piece together the payment. Marcus's father-in-law sent money by app. Vanessa's jewelry went to the manager as collateral until they could bring cash tomorrow. My mother wrote a check that probably emptied her account. The manager left with the payment, clearly relieved. Marcus sat on the restaurant steps, his head in his hands. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry you did it, or sorry you got caught?" I asked. He looked up, and for the first time, I saw something real in his eyes. Shame, regret, fear, both, he admitted. I handed him a business card, not mine. "This is a debt counselor. Call tomorrow. Set up a payment plan for what you owe me. Stick to it, and I won't file charges." He took the card with shaking hands. I turned to my mother. "You have my number. You have my terms. The next move is yours." Then I looked at all of them, this family that had never felt like family. "Babsia taught me something," I said. She said family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shares your burdens, who builds you up instead of tearing you down, who sees you, really sees you, even when you're not useful to them. I started walking to my car. For 38 years, I tried to be part of this family. I tried to earn your love, but you can't earn something that should be freely given. I opened my car door. I'm not your ATM anymore. I'm not your safety net. I'm not your backup plan. I'm just me. And if that's not enough for you, then we're done. I drove away, watching them shrink in my rearview mirror. My mother standing alone, Marcus sitting on the steps, Vanessa on her phone, probably already crafting the social media spin. And I felt it again. That lightness. That freedom. I'd given them a choice. Now I had to wait and see if they were capable of choosing right. Either way, I was finally choosing myself. And that was the best revenge of all. 6 months later, I stood in my office watching autumn paint the city in copper and gold. On the wall hung a photo I'd framed last week. Me, my assistant Sophie, and 3 of my junior developers eating pizza from a cardboard box after we'd landed the Berlin contract. No designer clothes. No filters. Just real people, real accomplishment, real joy. The photo next to it showed something else. Babsia and me in her kitchen, my hands covered in flour, her smile wide as she taught me to crimp pierogi. I was maybe 7 years old, gap-toothed and happy. She'd written on the back, "Lisa, my heart girl, learning to make something from nothing. This is our superpower." I touched the frame gently. "I'm using the superpower, Babsia," I whispered. Every single day. My phone buzzed. A payment notification. $500 from Marcus Lopez. Payment 6 of 174. He was keeping his word. Working construction now, I'd heard through the family grapevine that still existed despite everything. Early mornings, hard labor, honest pay. The kind of work that leaves your hands rough and your conscience clean. He'd called me once, 3 months ago, his voice different, smaller, humbler, real. "I never knew how hard you worked," he'd said. "I thought money just came to you, like luck, like magic." I'm on a job site at 5 a.m. My back is killing me, and I keep thinking about you at 19, working 3 jobs, and I'm starting to understand. I hadn't said much. What was there to say? Understanding doesn't erase history, but it's a start. "I'm sorry," he'd added. "Not just sorry I got caught. Sorry for everything." For being the golden child who turned into fool's gold. For taking and never giving. For being so goddamn blind. I know, I'd said. And I did. You can hear the difference between sorry I got caught and sorry I hurt you. His was the latter. Finally, Vanessa's Instagram had changed too. The last post showed her in a thrift store, caption reading, "Real wealth is knowing what you actually need. Grateful, Shari growing up, Shari's lessons learned." She'd lost 40,000 followers, gained her dignity back. The real change, though, was my mother. We'd started meeting for coffee. Every Saturday morning. Just the two of us. Not at expensive cafes, but at the local diner where Babsia used to take me for pancakes. Last Saturday, she'd slid an envelope across the table. Inside was her resignation from the country club and a job application. "I got hired at a bookstore," she'd said, her voice small but proud. "It's minimum wage, but it's mine." "I earned it myself." I'd smiled. "How does it feel?" "Scary." She'd looked at me then, really looked at me. "I'm sorry, Kachana, for all of it. For choosing him over you. For not seeing you. For everything." "I know," I'd said. Because I did. Apologies are just words. It's the actions after that matter. She reached across the table now, her hand covering mine. Not grabbing. Just touching. "Thank you for not giving up on me." I'd squeezed back. Babsha wouldn't let me. My office door opened. Sophie stuck her head in. "Lisa? The new hires are here for orientation." I turned from the window. "I'll be right there." Before I left, I checked my email. One new message from Marcus. "Job interview tomorrow. Management trainee position. Wish me luck?" I typed back. "You don't need luck. You need to show up and work hard. You've got this." Because here's what I'd learned. Revenge isn't about making people suffer. It's about letting them face the natural consequences of their choices while you build something better. That afternoon, I spoke to a room full of young professionals at a networking event. Someone asked, "How do you handle family who don't support your success?" I thought about it. "You love them from a distance," I said. "You set boundaries. You stop seeking validation from people who can't give it. And you build your own family, the one that sees you, supports you, and celebrates you not for what you can give them, but for who you are." A young woman raised her hand. "But isn't that selfish?" "No," I said firmly. "Having boundaries isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And you can't pour from an empty cup." That evening, I hosted a dinner at my friend Eliza's house. String lights hung in the backyard, wrapped around trees like captured stars. A long table set with mismatched plates, some from thrift stores, some from Sophie's grandmother, some from my own kitchen. No dress code. No expectations. No performance required. Just people I'd chosen, and who'd chosen me back. Sophie brought her kids, Emma, who wanted to be an engineer, and James, who collected rocks and told anyone who'd listen about sedimentary formations. The college funds I'd set up for them weren't charity. They were investment in futures that deserved to unfold without the weight of debt. "Miss Lisa?" Emma said, tugging my sleeve. "Mom says you're helping with college." I knelt down to her level. "Your mom works hard for our company. You work hard in school. That deserves support. Deal." She nodded seriously, then threw her arms around my neck. Over her shoulder, I saw Sophie wipe her eyes. My lawyer friend Maria came with her partner Jennifer, bringing homemade empanadas and stories about the case they'd just won. Something about tenant rights and a landlord who learned that intimidation has consequences. We toasted their victory with beer that cost less than the wine at the Meridian and tasted like triumph. Robert arrived late, my first mentor, The man who'd given me my first consulting contract when everyone else said I was too young, too inexperienced, too female. He brought a bottle of wine that cost $12 and a story about how his granddaughter just started her own business. "Reminds me of you," he said. Stubborn as hell and twice as smart. We grilled burgers. We laughed about failed pitches and celebrated closed deals. We talked about dreams, real dreams, not the Instagram-filtered kind. Sophie wanted to go back to school. Maria was writing a book about family law. Jennifer was learning to paint. Robert was teaching his granddaughter everything he'd taught me. This was wealth. Not the champagne and caviar kind. The kind that fills you up instead of leaving you empty. When the bill came, because we'd ordered Thai food as a second dinner, because why not? Everyone threw in their share without being asked. Sophie overpaid and refused change. "For the college funds," she said, winking. This was family. Real family. Chosen family. Later, I walked my mother along the beach. We'd invited her to join us, and she'd come. She'd been quiet most of the night, listening, watching, learning what family could look like. "I used to think family was a photograph," she said as we walked. "If someone didn't fit the image, you cropped them out, made it cleaner." The waves rolled in, patient and endless. "But it's not," she continued. "It's a dinner table. You can always add a chair, or—" She paused. "Clear a few." We stopped, watching the dark water shimmer under moonlight. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "What you did at the restaurant?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "No," I said. "I regret not doing it sooner. I regret all the years I spent trying to earn love that should have been given freely. But standing up for myself? Setting boundaries? Choosing my own worth over their comfort?" I shook my head. "That's the best thing I've ever done." She squeezed my hand. Firmly this time. Not the desperate grip of someone drowning, but the steady hold of someone learning to swim. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "I should have said it sooner, said it more, but I'm proud of who you've become." "Thank you," I said. "But I'm not who I've become, Mom. I'm who I always was." I just finally let myself be seen. We stood there, mother and daughter, blood and not blood, family by choice now instead of obligation. A text buzzed on my phone. "Marcus. Got the job. Start Monday. Thank you for believing I could change." I showed my mother. She smiled, tears finally falling. "He's learning." "We all are," I said, because that's the thing about family justice. It's not about punishment. It's not about revenge. It's about creating a world where respect is required, boundaries are honored, and love, real love, is more than a word people use when they need something. 3 months later, I opened my mailbox to find a handwritten letter. Babcha's handwriting, but not her words. My mother had copied one of Babcha's old letters to me. Sevens. "Kuchana Lisa, real family is not found in blood or name. It is found in the people who see your fire and bring kindling, not water. You were my heart granddaughter because you had the courage to burn bright, even when others wanted you dim. I leave you choices because you deserve to choose. Choose wisely. Choose yourself. Choose love that asks nothing but gives everything. Your Babsia." I hung the letter next to the pizza photo. 2 kinds of family, both real, both earned. That weekend, Marcus came to my office. He'd brought lunch, sandwiches from the deli, not Wagyu steaks. We sat on the floor of my office like kids, eating and talking. "I sold the Rolex," he said. "Paid you back $1,000 with it. I know it's not enough, but..." Sevens. "It's enough," I said. "You're showing up. That's what matters." He nodded, then looked at me. Can I ask you something? Why didn't you destroy me? You could have. You had every right. I thought about Babsha, about her weathered hands and iron will, about the lessons she'd taught me without ever raising her voice. Because destroying you wouldn't have built me up, I said. And I'm more interested in building than burning. Even after everything. Especially after everything. He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, you're the strongest person I know. And you always were. I was just too stupid to see it. After he left, I sat in my office as the sun set. I thought about that dinner 6 months ago. The $4, $800 bill. The moment everything changed. People asked me if it was worth it. If the confrontation, the pain, the family fracture was worth the freedom I gained. I tell them this. The best revenge isn't making someone suffer. It's building a life so fulfilling, so authentic, so true to who you are that their opinion becomes irrelevant. I didn't destroy my family that night. I freed us all. I freed them from the illusion that money could buy love. I freed myself from the prison of seeking approval from people who couldn't see my worth. And in the space that freedom created, something new grew. Not perfect. Not easy. But real. That's the thing about family justice. It's not about punishment. It's about transformation. It's about looking at the people who hurt you and saying, I'm giving you a chance to do better, but I'm not waiting around to see if you take it. It's about knowing that the family you're born into is just a starting point. The real family, the one that matters, is the one you choose. The one you build. The one that builds you back. I learned that from Babsia. She came to America with nothing but hope and grit. She built a life from scraps and determination. She taught me that strength isn't loud. It's quiet. It's knowing your worth and walking away from anyone who doesn't see it. She taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face their consequences. That rescue becomes enabling. That helping becomes hurting. She taught me that family is verb, not a noun. It's something you do, not something you are. And she taught me this. The best revenge is living well, building well, loving well, becoming so completely yourself that anyone who missed it feels the loss like an echo. So if you're reading this and you've been the family ATM, the forgotten sibling, the one who gives and gives until you're empty, hear me. Really hear me. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You're not cruel for demanding respect. You're not wrong for choosing yourself. You're not ungrateful for refusing to be used. You're not cold for protecting your peace. You're not difficult for expecting basic human decency. You are strong. You are worthy. You are enough. Exactly as you are, without performing, without proving, without shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold your full light. And the family who can't see that? That's not your failure. It's theirs. Their blindness doesn't dim your shine. Their inability to appreciate you doesn't decrease your value. Their rejection doesn't define your worth. Let them learn. Or let them go. But don't let them dim your fire. Don't let them convince you that your boundaries are walls or that your self-respect is selfishness. Don't let them rewrite history to make you the villain in a story where you were always the hero, because the world needs your light. Your real family, the one you've chosen or will choose, needs your light. The people you haven't met yet who will see you, really see you, need you to keep shining so they can find you. And you? You deserve to burn bright. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be seen and celebrated and loved for exactly who you are, not what you can provide. That's the lesson of the $4, $800 bill. That's the truth Babsia left me. That's the freedom I claimed when I finally chose myself. That's the inheritance she gave me, not money, but permission. Permission to be enough. Permission to demand more. Permission to walk away from anything that makes me smaller. Family isn't where you're born. It's who you become with. It's who sees you. It's who stays when staying is hard and celebrates when celebrating is easy. It's who shows up with cheap wine and real love, who splits the bill without being asked, who invests in your dreams because they believe in your worth. Choose wisely. Choose yourself. Choose love that asks nothing but gives everything. Choose people who make you more of who you are, not less. Choose relationships that feel like coming home, not like performing on stage. And remember, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Tag someone who's been your real family when blood relatives failed you. Because healing begins when we stop pretending we're fine and start admitting we deserve better. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's building a life so authentic, so fulfilling, so true to who you are that their opinion becomes irrelevant, and it's succeeding so completely on your own terms that their validation would feel like an insult to everything you've built. So, live, build, become, shine. Stop waiting for people who never came to the party to finally see your worth. Stop auditioning for a role in a family that should have given you a permanent seat. Stop performing for an audience that will never applaud. Instead, find your people. Build your table. Fill it with chosen family who show up not because they need something, but because they value you. Serve the meals you can afford with people who'd be happy eating ramen with you in the dark. That's wealth. That's success. That's revenge done right, not by destroying them, but by building something so beautiful they can't help but see what they lost. And let the right people find you in the light, the ones who don't need you to dim yourself to feel bright, the ones who bring kindling to your fire, not water, the ones who see your independence and celebrate it instead of punishing you for it. You're not too much. You're not too successful. You're not too independent. You're not too strong. You're not too anything. You're exactly enough. Just like Bapsia told me every time I doubted myself. Kochana, you are not too much for the right people. You are just right. And the wrong people? Ni twój cyrk, ni twoje małpy. Not your circus, not your monkeys. So leave the circus. Keep your money. Keep your peace. Keep your light. And remember, the best families are the ones we choose. The best revenge is a life well lived. And the best version of you is the one that refuses to be small for anyone. That's the truth. That's the lesson. That's your permission slip to finally put yourself first. Now go, build your life. Choose your family, so burn bright. You've earned it.